One of the questions I get asked the most is where's the best place to live? After spending years house sitting all over Portugal, I've lived and experienced places many people have never even heard of. But the truth is, there isn't one perfect place. And what may suit one person doesn't necessarily suit another. Recently, I was asked about Anadia. It's somewhere I actually lived when I first moved to Portugal. And while researching France, I've realised just how valuable it is to have someone who actually knows the place show you around. Not as a tourist, but as someone who has actually lived there. So, while I was in Anadia last week, I thought I'd answer that question and take you around and share with you what it's really like. Well, this is where I used to walk the dogs. We used to walk down this street, and those very steps there is where one of the first times I sat when I brought the dogs out. Just to quickly interject, for those of you that don't know, the dogs are Terry and Nelson, who Terry you will see is with me now. Nelson has a wonderful home elsewhere, and it was in Anadia where I lived. They lived on the same premises, and they were kept locked up 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I wanted to get them out of there, and eventually did. After 3 years, got them out. But that's the dogs, in case you're new here. That's an old school. School's been rebuilt somewhere else. This used to be the GNR when I lived here, and it's now accommodation for local college, and I think my old landlady said it's a college as well, it's a school as well. It's really been done up, and it's student accommodation. I walked this street many a time to go into town. I walked the dogs. Who would have thought, eh? Here I'd be with one of them permanently in my life. Fun fact, when I first moved to Portugal and I was opening my bank account, the bank manager was just talking to me. You know, I said I was just moving to Portugal, and he'd mentioned and actually wrote down for me 5 towns that he felt were worth considering for someone moving to Portugal, and Anadia was one of those towns. So that's the hospital there, and lots of free parking at the hospital, in the car park and around. So you know where we are. That's Brico-Marché, that's Intermarché petrol station, and Pingo Dois. And the Brico-Marché and Intermarché and the petrol station were not here when I lived here. And this isn't on the outskirts of town, this is just a stone's throw from the centre of town. We've got mountains in the distance. That's what the mountains look like surrounding Anadia. So we've got the hospital behind us. I will show you on the map where I'm standing. Brico-Marché, which is new, Intermarché, which is new. Pingo Dois has always been there, but it has been updated. It didn't have a cafe in there when I lived here. If you did need to use that hospital, it's not like there isn't, it's not a crowded situation. There's parking in the car park for free, the streets around it are free, and we're literally just where those trees end is the town square, so we're not on the outskirts by any means. For me, Anadia has always felt practical rather than picturesque. It isn't one of those places people travel across Portugal to photograph, unlike the schist village my friend moved to, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's one of those Portuguese towns that often gets overlooked because it doesn't have the international profile of places like Coimbra, Aveiro, Braga, the Algarve. If you want a slower, less stressful way of life, Anadia is worth considering. So for me, my walk to town used to be down this very long tree-lined street. So if it was a hot day, it's a really pleasant walk to town because you're in shade the whole way. It's one of the most beautiful streets. See if we can get the middle of it without getting run over. Pretend we're a car for a minute, yeah? That's the lovely tree-lined street. I love it. And that's the other end. And it goes all the way down to, oh, what's that main highway? I think it's the IC2. I wonder if Terry remembers. That building there is the back of the courthouse, and the front of it is right on the square. So obviously there's free parking everywhere. Down there on the other side of that wall is a big car park, lots of free parking, and all the streets around in the town you can park. This has been done up. I'm sure that was derelict when I lived here. That used to be a Santander bank and is no longer a Santander bank. So some of you will recognise this, because I know there's some of you who have been here from the beginning. And there's the town square. So it's very, very walkable. There's a fuel station on the square, obviously a lot more expensive than the Intermarché one, which is just up the road. Let's let Terry off. Go on then. you've got the square, you've got literally on this square. So on this square you've got a fuel station, you've got cafes behind it there, you've got 1, 2, 3 banks just on the square, and as I said, behind me used to be the Santander, and that's the courthouse. It's all very compact, all very walkable. You have and then you've got the town hall, which is right there. You've got a hardware stop just there. You've got a bakery, patisserie, whatever you want to call it, just there. A little household shop, and then just the little streets, obviously down the town. You've got lots of shops, cafes, hair salons, barbers. Yeah, it's in the district of Aveiro, and it sits between Aveiro, the town itself, and Coimbra. It's roughly 30 minutes to Aveiro, 30 to 45 minutes to Coimbra. It's about an hour and 15 minutes to Porto, and around 2 hours to Lisbon. So this makes it surprisingly well connected while you still feel rural. The shopping's perfectly adequate for everyday needs, but if you want bigger shopping malls and larger retail options, then they're available in the nearby Aveiro and Coimbra. For getting around, there's 2 train stations just outside of Anadia, Coimbra and Mogafora, about 30 minutes from the town centre. For me, Coimbra was the closer one, and although I could walk it, my neighbour or landlady would usually pick me up if I arrived home by train. I didn't have my car while I lived there, and although there is the 2 train stations, nearby buses, daily life is much easier with your own transport. At one point when I lived there, I went halves with my neighbour for a rental car, which we got at a really good price because it was for long term and over the, out of season period. But although not essential, I do think day-to-day life is much easier with a car. Obviously, derelict buildings are obligatory everywhere. Oh, it's the old post office, is it? And big builders merchant there. I'm sure they're not very happy that Brico Marché have opened up. So supplies there. If staying active is important to you, like the person that was asking me about Anadia, it's not a bad choice. It's very famous for its cyclists. There's a national velodrome just outside of town, and it has, I believe, a professional BMX track, mountain bike track, the velodrome. I mean, it's internationally well known for cycling, and they do hold big international competitions there. So, and generally the town is known for cycling. So you've got the municipality sports facilities, which is all in one area near the big football stadium. You've got a swimming pool, which I was a member of, and very nice. You have it to yourself if you swim on a weekday. Oh, lovely. Full Olympic size pool, so you can properly train if you want to. And then you've got tennis courts, you've got several gyms. There was a CrossFit gym just in town that I noticed. So here we've got the GNR, and then we've got this very big hotel, and then we've got a CrossFit gym just here. That's been there for years, because that was there 6 years ago when I was here. Another clinic, and up there is a big clinic. So we've got a big clinic here. I think that's where I got my health number. And behind that petrol garage is where the market is on a Saturday. This is all where I used to walk the dogs. I used to go around here, past the cemetery here. It's the back of the cemetery. So out of the cemetery, that's where I mentioned the market is, behind there. That's the clinic I mentioned, and then behind there is the public library. It's quite a big one. So we've got this lovely park here. This is new. This was being built when I lived here 6 years ago. Got a volleyball court, we got tennis courts, or maybe not tennis courts, paddle, what's that? Those little, I don't know, those games, paddle ball or whatever they're called. I'm trying to think what they're called. You've got paddle. Oh, they do paddle. So they do paddle here. But this doesn't look like paddle because I thought because you can hit it against the wall in paddle. And what's the other one? Oh, I can't think. I'll put it up. Nice. Oh, they've got the nice fitnessy things. We've got this centre, which I do not know what it is. No idea. And we've got this little crazy golf here. When it was being built, I heard there's going to be a golf course, but it's not a golf course, it's mini golf. So for people that kind of don't want anything too different, want a nice family town with all the facilities, modern, doesn't necessarily want the traditional Portuguese character, this is your place. I suppose it would be good for kids of any ages. You got football, you got basketball, you got tennis, you got paddleball, you got volleyball. What is the other one? It's not paddleball. I'm sure it begins with a P as well. Oh, I can't think. Not racket. Oh, can't think. That's nice volleyball court. This park has also got lake, ponds, paddling pool, something. Can't remember. But when I liberated the dogs, before I took them back up north, I brought them for a walk to this park before we went on our journey. And I remember Terry paddling in the water and having a drink on his first day of freedom. So that is a cafe up that end. So I don't know what that building is that we just passed. Maybe it's where you hire your things for crazy golf and stuff. But yeah, it's looking very dry. They don't have any irrigation in this park. And it's literally, the park is literally surrounded by a farm. There's all cow barns over there. And so it really is very, it's very small, but it has everything. Or maybe you can. And then at the back of the park there, you've got a cafe. Just over there. So for housing, Anadia is cheaper obviously than places like Lisbon and Porto and the Algarve, but also the Silver Coast hotspots that a lot of immigrants veer towards. You're going to find that you can get more for your money in somewhere like Anadia. Property prices obviously have risen, just like everywhere in Portugal, but they're still usually lower than many of the well-known immigrant expat areas. And thinking about who Anadia is for, from what I experienced there, I think it would be a good fit for someone who wants a slower pace of life, but probably that goes for everywhere in Portugal, apart from Lisbon and Porto. Enjoys nature and the countryside. There's lots of hikes all around the area. Prefers, small local shopping than big shopping malls. Doesn't mind driving. As I said, I think a car, I think you need a car to get around, but I don't know if anyone lives there or in that area. Perhaps you can let me know. You might disagree. The trains are very regular and very cheap to Coimbra, as I used to get regularly before I brought my car over. Someone who wants to avoid heavily touristed areas and values community over convenience. Speaking of community, if you come to Anadia in the summer, you'll see the roundabouts and trees transformed by community artwork. This is because every summer the municipality invites local organisations to decorate the town. It's social and community groups, things like care homes, day centres, schools, disability organisations, community groups, all that sort of thing. Each group decorates its own sections. So as you walk along, you're actually seeing artwork made from people from the local community, and it's all part of the social Bairrada Anadia. You may also prefer this location if intense summer heat is a concern for you. The summers are not brutally hot. When I lived there, I would regularly go over to Castelo Branco to visit friends during the summer when it was hot, and I would leave Anadia and drive further east. The more you go inland, it was noticeably hotter. It may be less suitable for someone who wants frequent entertainment, a large English-speaking community, although I do think you're getting more and more people move into small towns like Anadia. If you want beaches on your doorstep, you're not going to get that, but it is about 40 minutes to the coastline. If you want really convenient, extensive public transport, although saying that, things could well have changed. It's a long time since I lived here, and there's been a lot of development and changes and additions to the area. And if you want international restaurants and shops and a big choice of places to eat out, if you're looking for history, charming old streets, a lively tourist atmosphere, this probably isn't it. I know a lot of people want to leave behind and are tired of constant pressure, heavy traffic, rising stress, the fast pace of life, basically wanting to get out of the rat race. Anadia does offer you a different rhythm. It's not a place that is going to try and impress you with attractions and nightlife. Dare I say it, it's, ordinary, but still special. It kind of appeals to everyday life, like local cafes, you've got the nearby vineyards, quiet streets, easy access to everything you need for daily life, and easy access to Coimbra and Aveiro if you want city amenities. If you want a quiet life and your idea of a good day is just walking to the cafe, shopping at the local market, enjoying the surrounding countryside, living somewhere where your life moves at a gentler pace, Anadia deserves a place on your shortlist. I hope you enjoyed that little tour. Give it a thumbs up if you did, and let me know if you'd like a tour of a couple of the other towns that were recommended to me. Thanks for watching, and remember to share this with anyone who you think might find it useful. See you on the next one.
And honestly, I don't know